right, so we're here on a emergency podcast here on Couch Coach Live. Obviously, we did a show last night, and we did our thing. We actually one of the topics that we talked about was Urban Meyer being fired. As far as not being fired, but as far as should he be let go? Obviously, with the Tom Pelissero report on Saturday. But as we woke up in our slumber this morning, we had the news that Urban Meyer was officially fired from the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, of course, we had to do an emergency podcast, and we had to bring in our guy, Thad. What's going on, Thad?
Nothing much, man. Second podcast of the day, but I'm gonna have energy for this one. I don't have a lot to say because most of it's already been said, but I got some stuff that needs to get off my chest. Appreciate you having me on, Coach.
Hey, no problem. I couldn't find a better person to talk about Jacksonville Jaguar football than my guy Thad. Other cousin. You and Jelani and the Hoopers, and my guys Cool and all them. Y'all my little cousins. So yeah, definitely had to bring in my cousin from the A. One of my other cousins from the A. But yeah, man. So let's get right into it, man. You know what's so crazy? Like we talked about it before we went on air. We talked about, obviously the Tom Pelissero report, obviously with the, situation, saying that his assistants were losers and this, and then Josh Lambo thing kind of came out. And it's funny because the Josh Lambo thing came out right after we finished. Because I think we finished around about 10 o'clock last night. And then that happened. And then when I think I woke up maybe about 4 o'clock this morning, it was on the actual, the morning news, your local morning news, and it was not saying breaking news, but more so that he got fired. So the head, and we know you're a Jacksonville Jaguar fan. Thoughts on Urban Meyer being fired?
It was honestly, in my opinion, for Shad Khan, an easy decision. It had to be done. We can go all the way back to the offseason when he hired the guy from Iowa that was having the racist problems. Drafting Travis Etienne when we already had a running back in the first round. Just some of the hiring decisions he's made. I can even question some of the guys like bringing in Schottenheimer, who got let go by the Seahawks for lack of creativity. So you bring him in for your number one overall pick. Darrell Bevel, who was the interim coach for the Lions last year, that got let go. So a lot of questionable decisions, in my opinion. It just had to, but this is before we even start playing football. And then, you have the incident week 4 where he doesn't fly home with the team, which you never see in NFL locker rooms. So you always fly home with the team, especially if it wasn't even a bye week. You have the incident with Marvin Jones Jr. where you come at one of your leaders. You're in a coaches meeting telling your guys they're scrubs. You guys are terrible. There was a little I saw from a guy on Twitter. He said that my coaching staff at Bowling Green was better. He just went that far. And then the final straw was him, of course, kicking Josh Lambo. So it's just been a whole bunch of drama, a whole bunch of BS, and we had to do this for the sake of the franchise. We were trying to have a culture change, and he was completely, pushing us back. And I just feel like it had to be done for the success, to save our quarterbacks, our franchise quarterback, and just to save the franchise overall.
Yep. I totally agree with you there. And I think one of the things I thought about yesterday is regardless of the hit to his salary, I mean, as far as what you have to pay him, as far as that, it's going to be a trickle effect. Even though, you might lose that money, but with Shad Khan, he's not losing money. Like I said, that's like me getting an extra ranch at the wings part. You know what I'm saying? It's not gonna do him no. It's not gonna do him because what's gonna happen is a trickle effect, because now that's gonna be affecting free agency. People don't want to go there. You already made a situation that was in theory was worse and made it even worse. Nobody's gonna want to be there. And like we talked about it too, where this in-house fighting continue to persist, and normally this stuff doesn't happen in the pros. Everything kind of stays to the vest, but I think it's just one of the things where it's just like he lost that locker room so much to a point where these things start to leak, and even the whole thing of where if someone leaked that information, they're going to be unemployed. That's not how the NFL works, bro. I understand, you ran the shots in Columbus, Ohio, but this is a different animal. This is a different beast. You got guys who get paid way more than you on this football team. So you can't do these type of things. And like you said, and I think it was smart on Jacksonville to do this right now, because I want to kind of give him the benefit of the doubt, just give him to play it out for the end of the year. But who knows what other stuff would have came out in these next 4 weeks. So it's just one thing. Let Darren Bevel take over the team, because and just and take and just take those lumps from there. He's not going to be your head coach going forward, and it just kind of helped expedite the process. So now you can be in that predicament. Hey, I'm looking for a head coach. I got some time now, so that can be a situation where you think about if you would have waited to January the 10th, because generally you want to hire your coach before the Super Bowl. So you got somewhat of a, so now he essentially pretty much bought himself maybe about an extra 4 weeks to kind of get the coach that he want. And now he makes Bobby Petrino look like Bill Belichick at this point, because we thought that was like the most as far as the exit, or Nick Saban. He makes Nick Saban and Bobby Petrino look like Bill Belichick. But in those cases, they left for a better, for obviously back to college, respectively. But yeah, this is just one of those where you're like, it was just a smart move at Jacksonville just to cut their losses, because who knows what else would have happened. And then I found it very interesting that Lambeau story came out yesterday as well. I thought that was what I call convenient timing
I
when
agree.
it came to that. So I was like, and if it was weird, because I remember we went off, and I'm like, then I'm hearing it was a story that popped up, I think on Twitter or whatever, and I'm like, are you serious? Like, I was like, he's just gonna get worse and worse, because like we said, we had a timeline of events. Because I think what all this really stuff is, and this is another thing too, where everything that you do that might seem as minuscule, it gets enhanced. Especially in his case, like, I really honestly didn't think that the bar thing was going to be that big of a deal. I heard about the story because obviously that was that Thursday night game that y'all played. So then, like, everybody started talking about like Monday, Tuesday, and I'm thinking to myself, this thing got legs, like, to a well, no pun intended to, but in other words, this story has legs, and I was thinking to myself, wow, this kind of thing that lasted for a minute. But all of this type of stuff, and it's just especially for a team that has a budding star in Trevor Lawrence, you need to surround him with guys, surround him with a better coaching staff to get him better prepared, because now it's almost like to a point where if this would have kept on going, that would have fell on Urban Meyer, because it's almost like Dabo Sweeney got the best out of him, Tony Elliott got the best out of him. Why can't you do that?
I agree 100%, man. I just think one thing I want to add before we move on. I just like they had to do it. You couldn't wait 4 more weeks. I understand you couldn't let it play out because more stuff was going to come out.
Yep.
The more we lost, the more he was going to be carefree. He just didn't care. I just feel like he was, letting stuff get leaked out. He was acting the way he was acting. He was kind of like, my money's guaranteed. Everything's locked in. Like, it is what it is at this point. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to lose anymore. And Shad Khan had to make a decision. Like, after the bar incident, he said Urban Meyer has to, work to gain his trust back, and it literally just went downhill. Everything went downhill. And when you start losing the locker room in your first year, when you're like coming in, everybody knows Urban Meyer is a winner, so he has a little bit of respect. He has a little bit of leeway, but quickly he lost the locker room, and you just had to do what you got to do. It's bad that we got to start over. Trevor Lawrence will have 2 head coaches in his first 2 years, but you got to find the right fit so you don't ruin them.
Yeah. And like you said, this, and and now Shad Khan just got to be more smart about who he hires. And I think this could just be a situation where, hey, he needs to just take your time with the search, get it right, because like you said, now you want to make sure that you got your you got your asset, but you need to have somebody in that coaching staff to help cultivate your number one talent, which is going to bring you money. Because like we talked about it, that drop in the bucket for paying Urban Meyer, it was going to cost him even more in the long run. Because like I was hearing that, I think season tickets are about to be available for next year, and people was going to renew their season tickets or even get them for 2022. So those type of for a money standpoint,
You
it's
had
just the
to.
right move. You had to just cut your losses, and like you said, and now you just got to be smart to a point where, hey, I know we've been having this coaching carousel for this team. This time, hey, we just got to get it right. So this gives us time. Hey, you probably get to talk to some assistants. You probably get to talk Josh McDaniels, and whoever. We'll get into who we think should be the head coach. But some of these hot assistants that we got in the league now, you'll be able to talk to them, during the playoff run. So you got some time to kind of do some soul searching next few weeks. Hey, we got to get this hire right.
100%.
Yep. So what's next for Urban Meyer? Your thoughts?
I'm gonna keep this one short and simple. He's never coaching in the NFL again. Not even as a coordinator. Any job at the NFL, they're not letting him touch. Nobody's hiring him. College, I think, because of what he did at Florida in 2006 and 2008, and then at Ohio State, like just what he's done at every program. Honestly, he was at Bowling Green, he was at Utah with Alex Smith. He brought all those programs up. He's a winner at the college level. It just didn't work out. The way he handles grown men and all that stuff just doesn't work out at this level. But I see him honestly being back on TV. I know, as much as he's ruined his reputation, in my opinion, I think, Fox will call him. He'll be back on Big Noon Kickoff with Reggie Bush and those guys. Or I don't know, ESPN. I mean, is it crazy for him to get a job at ESPN after all the analysts like on Get Up and stuff have just bashed him days after days? Rex Ryan, Bart Scott, Dan Orlovsky, Ryan Clark, all those guys, like they bashed him. Is it too crazy to say he could get a job at ESPN? I mean,
he might. I mean, that's the thing about it, because a lot of things in a weird thing, people will have short-term memory when it comes to certain things like this,
especially the people that are paying him.
Right. And because it's crazy. Like, I agree with you do that. I think he gonna probably go back to Fox, or he'll do something with college football or something. And what's gonna happen is I'm gonna give maybe a year tops. I can see him coaching in 2023. Because I definitely think a blue blood team could potentially need a new head coach coming into next season, going into the 2023 season. But the only thing with him is this, because now college football has changed since he's left. Now we got the NIL deals, where like it's almost going to be almost a microcosm of the pros, but on obviously not on the scale as the NFL, but a small scale where you have a couple guys, your top guys are going to be getting paid handsomely. Well, not handsomely, but they'll the name, image, and likeness. I wouldn't necessarily say that they're going to be like millionaires, but they're going to get paid. They're going to get a nice check, considering fact, of just the NIL thing. And then now with this transfer portal thing, where it's a lot has changed since he's been the coach at Ohio State. But I know a blue blood team is probably going to take a risk and take a shot at him, because like you said, his pedigree altogether, like you look at how Florida, I wouldn't say he resurrect Ohio State, because Ohio State was already there, but they needed that extra push, with him there. So you definitely think with that. So I definitely see him potentially, like you said, going to do analyst for college football for maybe a year or two, and then he'll get another job somewhere.
Sad to say, man, like you said, people are going to forget about it. And one of those blue bloods, they're going to look at his track record, what he did on the college level. They're going to forget about the NFL, and they're going to throw him a job. It's sad to say, but it is what it is. I wonder how it's going to affect recruiting, though. Like, to see like some of the stories come out, the way he treats some of his players and stuff. I just wonder how that's all going to play out.
That's true. That's true too. Where that's another thing too, where you can see, like you said, the blatant disrespect, and there's just little stuff like the benching, James Robinson. That was, to me, I mean, that's give or take, but at the same token, dude, like, you can't make statements like that in the National Football League. Like, this is a win-loss type of team. That's cute in Ohio State to do that, because but you can't bench your best player. Like,
He's only fumbled. He's only fumbled twice throughout the whole year. Like we need to. He's overreacting, just being emotional.
right.
But he's very emotional.
Yeah, and then the thing that got me too was the whole thing of him getting mad at the losing the second preseason game. I'm like, dude, you're going to lose games and talk about some of his Alabama every week. Yeah, like half these rosters got Alabama players on these rosters now.
It's bad,
I'm
man.
like, yeah. I mean, what you thought was gonna happen? These dudes are millionaire paid professional athletes. These dudes, they they play football for a living. Like this is not just I'm a scholarship or I'm a walk on, bro. These people are getting paid, and
And it's just, I mean, for him, I guess it's different. He's never lost before because I was looking at his record. He lost in 7 years at Ohio State. He lost 9 games, and he already lost 11 with the Jaguars. So he's like, he
yeah,
just can't. I wonder how it is at home, like how he treats his
yeah,
wife.
yeah.
I'm honestly surprised.
But that's the thing with and this is no shade to Jacksonville, but you're gonna take some hard losses. You're gonna take some. I mean, this you're with this roster that you got. There's gonna be some tough times. Like you this is not like this is not gonna be a situation where you're gonna come in and they're gonna win 12, 13 games a year. This it's got to be built that way. You got to build that to get to that level. You know, so
100%,
and
man.
right.
It's just, I'm glad. I'm really, really glad we got it out the way, and that
Yep.
we didn't wait until the off season for him to do
Yep.
any more damage. Like, what
Yep.
if I really don't even? I don't think he could have done any more damage. It just would have been a bad look on Shad Khan and the hire. So I mean, it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would have been a bad look. And then that's another thing too, where now the biggest question now is, you know, who should be the head coach for the Jaguars at this point? I'm who's on your I know we're 9 days away from Christmas, so Dad, man, what's on your wish list when it comes to head coaches?
You know how this stuff goes. As the season goes on, more and more candidates come out. Like the people we're talking about now might not even get the job, and there's going to be a coach that comes out of the blue, maybe an OC that's really thriving or something like that. But if I was Shad Khan or I was Trevor Lawrence, I would love to have an offensive-minded head coach. Somebody that's going to help the development of your quarterback first. That's your biggest investment. That's your number one overall pick. This is your biggest pick in years. So getting him right is the first thing. I've seen a lot of flashes. I've seen some bad plays, but I've seen a lot of good plays as well. And when you're on a bad team like that, it is what it is. His receiver's not helping him out. But on my Christmas wish list, if I had one, my three guys, I got Byron Leftwich, a former Jaguar. He was under Bruce Arians with the Cardinals, and he brought him up. He did such a great job in Arizona that he brought him to Tampa. Brian Daboll, who was at Bama, and has done pretty well with Josh Allen's development in Buffalo. And then the last person I have, one of the people we hired last year that they chose Urban Meyer over, Eric Bieniemy. Those are all three offensive-minded guys. They didn't all play in the league, but they all have experience. I think Brian Daboll played in the league for a little bit, maybe. No, he played a quarterback in college, but Eric Bieniemy played running back in the league, and Leftwich, of course, played for the Jaguars. I just really, really think you have to get somebody in that's going to change the offensive side of the ball. I know with Leftwich there's a lot of questions in Dayball because they've never done it at that level, or Eric Bieniemy. But if you bring in a strong supporting coaching staff, I think that will help them. It's hard. It's different when you're just calling plays and then you have to go call plays and manage the whole team. Like that's why many guys can't do it. You got Kingsbury, you got Sean McVay. It's only a couple coaches I can name that are calling the plays. Mike Zimmer on defense, is very limited because it's very tough to do. So I just feel like those three guys are the best, candidates. They're all offensive mind. They've all been here before. They've had success where they're at. And, I'm pretty sure if I was Byron Leftwich, I would be willing to embrace the challenge of uplifting and turning around the franchise that I once played for. So, those are my three guys. I'm pretty sure somebody's going to come out the blue, but if I had to make a choice right now, those three would be my guys, and just strong assistants around them. Some guys that have been in NFL locker rooms, coordinators, a former head coach for at least 15, 20 years with a lot of experience to help, can help them run the show. Because Leftwich and Bieniemy and Daboll, those are all young guys. Are these guys even over 40? I mean, they're a little over 40. They're not old for the head coaches, so they have very little experience running the show.
Right. Hence the fact that you wanna have a guy like that who's gonna be there for the long term for Trevor Lawrence. And so essentially if you can keep Trevor Lawrence for 15 years, just then you look at those guys, they'd be, maybe just pushing late 50s, almost in a 60s. So yeah, I like Byron Leftwich. I think that's also a good choice too. Obviously, just the whole fact of Jacksonville, he's like probably one of the most prolific, quarterbacks in this history. Obviously, like I look at Mark Brunell, David Garrard, and then also Brian Leftwich was another guy that we can look at as far as quarterback wise. And I think that would be perfect to kind of pass that torch to for Trevor Lawrence. And I think that'll put butts in seats. Because I think you really want to, like we say, like we talk about with Jacksonville, we want to put butts in seats and put bodies in that pool.
And that's something we do not do. We have, if I lived in Jacksonville and I didn't have Sunday Ticket or my Fire Stick, I wouldn't be able to watch games because they're blacking out all the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because they always put the tarp on the top, on the upper decks. I think that's a good one too. Eric Bieniemy, I think he's another one where I just like he's got to get a shot this time. I mean, even with everything that he has done, and even though I know offense kind of took a step a lot in Kansas City this year, but they're still, they I put it this way, they're still a good team offensively. I think we're just so used to how prolific they are, and they're not as prolific as they used to be. But they're still good offense compared to others in this league. And also, like you said, I think Brian Daboll, like another one, because we thought about Josh Allen is almost like a system quarterback. Well, had that big arm. I mean, people knew he's gonna have that big arm, but everybody kept on saying, well, he probably be just like a game manager. But now he's, it has been, at least in the MVP conversation the last 2 seasons. And you can definitely see that potentially, hopefully, with Byron Leftwich, but I'm not Byron, with Trevor Lawrence. A lot of people say Josh McDaniels, but I think Josh McDaniels, I don't think that's gonna work. Nope, because I like ask Jay Cutler.
Nah, real quick. I didn't mean to cut you off, but as a Jaguar fan, just know, like, I just don't like his reputation. He bailed on the Colts. I really don't trust him. And him in Denver was a complete failure. So
yeah,
I don't even want to give that a chance. But as an offensive mind, he's not going to be a coordinator for anybody but Bill Belichick. So
yeah, and like I said, that's not gonna happen because, like you said, he had the head coach job in Indianapolis, and he pulled a Bill Belichick essentially.
They had the press conference ready to go, all that.
Yeah, and then he turned back around to there, and then a lot of people really, and that's one thing too. I think people need to temper these type of expectations. Another guy who's been emerging, Kellen Moore.
Honestly, I could see it. His dad's a coach.
Yeah.
He's not that bad, but he's just so young. Like, when you're younger than some of the players on your team, it's kind of hard to gain the respect of those grown men. Yeah. I mean, I know Kingsbury and McVay are doing a pretty good job with it, but it is very tough to do. And him taking over a bad roster, it'll be bumpy, a bumpy road early on and stuff. And it just, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I definitely think that Byron Leftwich probably more likely. I think should be it. I know a lot of people, been talking about. I know been hearing some rumbles and everybody talking about it's not a good move. But I'm like, what do you got to lose? At this point, you wanna get a guy that this franchise that's going to rally around. This is more than just you need that. This is almost like this would be the best when it comes to if I'm like a PR person. I'm like, look, you gotta bring the prodigal son back.
Man.
You got to bring the prodigal son back to Jacksonville at this point, just to even just for the simple fact of, hey, we're gonna see how this work out. And like you said, and if he needs to probably put himself around good assistants. And that's the thing, like, because these guys, and that's the thing, that's the difference, obviously, between Urban Meyer and his staff. You look at, they had some NFL guys, but like you see how he said they were losers. But I'm like,
you hired
these losers.
You did you did your due diligence. You looked at their track record and you brought these guys in. You interviewed them. So that says a lot about you. But when he
Correct.
start losing, he just start getting crazy, start blaming everybody else but himself. That's really what it
Right.
is.
And that's the thing where you can't do that. So, and and like you said, these guys, I think even the three cans that we talked about, they got good NFL pedigree. They're well respected in the NFL, so they'll be able to get NFL quality coaches. They'll get those. So I don't necessarily, you don't have to worry about the, like I call it, the staffing issue that that he's been talking about. But yeah, so yeah, man, we definitely had to do the emergency pod. So Thad, appreciate you for coming on tonight. Social media, any upcoming projects, what you got?
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook at What the Game Means to Me. Me and Jelani just had a show earlier today at 5:30. You guys go check that out. We're gonna come to you guys every week around Tuesday to Thursday. In between those 3 days, those are our best available days. But check us out. Check out Coach. That runs a great show, and I appreciate you having me on once again. And shout out to Off the Ball Network and all our
Yeah.
sponsors, Built Bar,
Yes,
etc.
yeah, yep. Definitely you shout out. Yes, our good folks at Built Bar. You get that 10% off using our promo code off the ball. And then Bet US promo code off the ball in all capitals letters. You get that 125% sign up bonus. And they do offer the fastest payouts in the industry. But yes, indeed, definitely appreciate you for coming on, Thad, for this emergency Couch Coach Live podcast. You
Yes,
know,
sir.
yes, sir. Yeah, man. And we out. This has been this emergency podcast. Definitely once again appreciate you, Thad. And we out.